start with Mr. Song Kyu-kun, who's the head of the Planning and Administration Committee of Goyang City Council. Good evening. My name is Song Kyu-kun. I'm a member of the Goyang City Council in charge of Goyang's lifelong learning policy. So we have listened to 3 great presentations. I've actually prepared my comments for this discussion, but the presentation inspired me to talk about something else, because actually the presentation left me with a heavy heart. So I did make preparations, but while listening to them, I thought about my past that led to me as one of the policy makers in Goyang. After my military service, I became a university professor at a relatively early age. Of course, it was a delight, but soon after, I became regretful because the first university I started to work at was a college. I was teaching students and also working with academic foundations, and started to face structural issues of our society, which are the inheritance of wealth and poverty, and could understand that our students are not ready to go out into the society. So it naturally led me to think about solutions, which was the wise leadership of politics. So that led me to start my career as a politician. So that's what brought me here. And to be frank, after I became a member of Goyang City Council, well, if you're a member of the provincial council, you have a lot to do with education because you need to supervise the educational agency. But as a member of the city council, I didn't have a lot of chances to actually deal with educational agenda. So it made me think that, what am I really doing to change the world as a politician? And being able to participate as a panelist in this session and listening to the presentation of the 3 speakers had me understand the 3 common denominators. Within rapidly changing society, there will be people left behind who are the underprivileged. So, in the process of building an inclusive society, lifelong learning could be an answer. So I'm with heavy heart, but at the same time, it inspired me to relive my resolution of the past to contribute to education as a politician. So I think the solution lies in lifelong learning. So what should Goyang City Council do? So let me first touch upon lifelong learning of Goyang. So I actually perused some of the materials that were provided by the GYRI, and there was one survey on the current status of 348 lifelong learning centers in Goyang. So the survey grouped them, and 14.9% were job, skill, education centers, and it was followed by culture centers. And 33.9% of the centers were run by an individual, and local government was focused on running cultural facilities. And in the same survey, there were educational programs run by institutes, and 34.5% of the programs were focused on culture and arts, followed by liberal arts. So in terms of facility, job training centers led the number, but local governments were focused actually on culture and arts training and liberal arts education. So there are more job training centers in terms of facility because they are run by individuals. So if we can help people catch up with the trend through lifelong learning, we can actually help them get new jobs and maintain their livelihoods. And what does Goyang have? I think this is shared by many other local governments, but they are focused on liberal arts and cultural arts given the existing condition. So we need to think deep about this issue. City councils and civil society are always criticized for this. The programs provided from lifelong learning centers, are they actually education or just culture and arts programs? Is it just an experience or just a simple piece of knowledge? Can we really describe them as education? I think it's worth thinking about. Everything that we do under the name lifelong learning should be focused on education. Of course, I do not have the solution. It's a very difficult issue. But at least culture and arts facilities must refrain from, they can of course run programs that provide volatile knowledge, a simple piece of knowledge, it's okay. But if you call yourself an educational facility, you need to actually plan and devise programs that can provide education as in the form of lifelong learning. Education is about, first of all, turning people over to the state of knowing from the state of not knowing. We currently face with the issue of climate change. Of course, we need to know about it, but if we are not able to turn this into action, that is not enough. We need to see whether our education is translated to action and is actually usable at business sites. And the city and relevant divisions must monitor and confirm this. Of course, this is not easy. Unless we do this, unless we carry out evaluation, which is difficult, we won't be able to make progress. So we need to help people actually translate their knowledge into action through lifelong learning. Let's take climate change, for example. In the past, we always said that the earth is sick and our earth could be submerged in water. We didn't know back then, but even when we know now, it doesn't naturally push us into action. We need to think about how to encourage people to change their behavior and take action through lifelong learning. So the education of the past was about translating not knowing stage to the state of knowing. But now it should be about turning knowledge into action. In this sense, I think today's forum could be a venue to brand our city. Then many ask me, what type of brand can you think of for Goyang? So I've been working as a member of the City Branding Research Institute for 4 years. In the beginning, when I started studying this area, I just focused on tangible assets as sources of city branding. But as time passed by, I put deep thought about what kind of brand does Goyang need, and it made me conclude that people should be the brand. People who are willing to respect each other, who uphold democracy, and who are ready to sacrifice themselves for the betterment of the society. And I thought they should be the resources and the brand of the city. To convey the message that community comes first in Goyang. People are willing to let go of themselves for the bigger good. So, when we think about lifelong learning, am I talking too much? Well, okay, I hope there's another chance. I don't want to waste too much time. Thank you. So later on, we have a time for comments, so you can use that time.
Yes, the representative song highlighted the importance of lifelong education and the status of the lifelong education in Goyang City.
You mentioned the absolute dominance of culture and arts education and whether our training leads to action. But lifelong learning is not just about knowledge, it must be translated into action. That is one of the key challenges. And you also mentioned some of the regretful issues of Goyang and people becoming the brand of a city, responsible citizens working for the bigger good.
Now let me invite the second panelist. And we have the Song Gyu-gun from the Goyang City Council. So you are working to secure the budgets and you are also working to pass a proposal made by the Goyang City. So what will be the position of the Goyang City Council?
So as you've mentioned, Goyang has a budget of about 3.8 trillion won. And our own funding is about 30%, which is about 927 billion won, which is quite shocking that we are receiving 70% of our budget from outside. That's because we don't have companies in Goyang. And last Thursday, I met with GYRI. We are nearing 1.7 million people, and actually we are losing people. So who left? The people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s left for jobs. In terms of lifelong learning, I think it's fortunate that these people are leaving for jobs, but what about the people who are left behind, the elderly? So as I've mentioned, we need to provide knowledge or skills And lifelong learning should be a means to provide knowledge and skills that help ends meet. Unless we do that, more people will leave Goyang. We will only be left with the elderly waiting for welfare. So we need to help them learn how to look for jobs and find their way.